BNB, we start with 1 hour chart. Just I want to give a quick update. First of all, if you refer to my last analysis, since the price was within this down move, I mentioned if I get any trade set up for buy any reversal, this is where I'm going to look for buy. That's why we came up with these lines. And that's why we mentioned we're looking for 335, whether we see whether the price can break or not. And this is what we get. All right. And this is where the best trade we could look for. That's why I mentioned if I get any reversal following by flag, I will take the trade following up what this one. We get a few opportunity to look for buy. And no one see what's the next. All right. Because for those traders, they get the trade within this down move. And if you look at this one, we get the 27 as the first target and 61.8 as the second target. The first target can be 387 and the second target will be 404, which the price almost tagged. That's why for those traders, they get any trade within this down move, within this move. If they want to keep the trade, at least move their stop loss to break even, because the price almost tag the targets within this move. It doesn't mean the price cannot continue, it can, but from what we have right now, okay? Or if they want to keep the trade, either move their stop loss to break even, or books, if for those traders, they get the trade from here, move their stop loss somewhere around 370 below this. At least they can book some profit. Because if we put this stop in relative to the previous one, if we refer to the indicators, we see we have a divergence, and as well here. That's why we need to be quite careful. All right, whether the price is going to reverse or not, we cannot confirm, but we can expect to get the deeper correction before we get the continuation. Anyway, now once you what's the next, we move to daily chart, because if you refer to our analysis, if I remove everything, since the price was within this down move after, because at the first we have been looking for this correction, since we get this one, this is where I mentioned if I get any reversal, any trade set up for buy, I will take the trade. Now the question is whether this is the start of the reversal, or even we can expect this one turn to a more complex correction, and still we need to put in relative to this for one more drop before we get the reversal. All right, which one? But since I get the reversal as a sharp move, if we get any trade set up for buy, from now we'll take it. We don't need to wait for one more drop. All right, but at the same time, if we're looking for buy trade, we need to be quite careful. That's why we came up with this wedge. All right, now what's the next? We get the reversal. The only thing is whether we can look for continuation or not. And in this case, we move to forward chart. What we had based on forward chart, first things, if we put this low in relative to the previous one, if we refer to the indicators, we had a divergence. That's why I mentioned if I get any reversal, any trade set up for buy, I will take it. All right. Now, the only thing is we want to see whether we can look for continuation or not. First things, the price almost turned to the previous zone. The zone for this correction. And mostly when we have this kind of the move, mostly we can look for continuation. The only thing is maybe we expect to get the deeper correction before we get the continuation. All right. And when we're looking at this move, we came up with these lines. That's why we need to see the breakout of 420 following by 445. Based on forward chart, at this point, this is the lines or levels we're looking for. If you're looking for continuation, we need to see the breakout of 442 following by 445. All right. But the only question is, can we expect this one turn to a correction relative to this? That means this one turn to a more complex correction for one more drop? Yes. That's why if we want to look for buy, we need to be quite careful. Like what we have right now, we don't see any trade setup for buy. Simply, we cannot look for buy. We need to get the trade setup. When I say we need to be quite careful in the bigger picture, what I want to see that we have other possibility, and this one can turn to a more complex correction for one more drop before we get the reversal. Because technically, we cannot put this move in relative to this. This is really sharp, but this one is really corrective. That's why we can expect this one turn to expanding flat. Either we call this one as expanding flat as a second wave, and relative to this one turn to a running flat for one more drop before we get the reversal, or we see the continuation and this correction turn to a more complex correction in the bigger picture. All right, that's why we want, if you want to look for trade from now, we need to see the trade setup as a correction as long as the price haven't break 445. All right. The second things for those traders, again, they get the trade within this move their stop loss to break even, and this is the levels we're looking for. And at this times, we don't see any trade setup for next trade. The only thing is we have to see the correction before we take the next trade. All right. And how about if I move to 1 hour chart? What we see here, we have a divergence. And as well here. That's why we need to be really careful. Okay, that's why we mentioned for those traders, they get the trade, move their stop loss to break even. Rather than that, we have nothing else to discuss. The only thing is, if we want to look for then any trade from now, based on 1 hour chart, at least we need to get the flag or correction for trade. If there is a continuation similar to what we get here, that means if you get any small flag or correction similar to what we have here, from now, any trade we consider as a short-term trade, right? First thing, we have a divergence, and as what I explained, based on forward chart. That means if you want to look for buy, the best things from now is if this one turns to a deeper correction for continuation. It doesn't mean the price cannot continue from here. It can, but the only thing is how to look for trade. Okay. Anyway, at this times we don't see any trade setup, and if we zoom out, as we can see the price almost in the for the zone of the previous correction. And if you want to look for next trade, for me, I prefer to get the deeper correction. It doesn't mean I won't take the trade for buy. I will take it. Any opportunity for from now, I will take it. But we need to be quite careful since we have a divergence. All right. Whether we should look for sell or not, this is about the buy. All right. But again, I cannot simply say we cannot buy here. We need to get at least a flag for continuation. That's why I explain about everything. But how about if we see the price drop as a sharp move following by correction, this is where we're going to look for sell. All right. Maybe as a simple question, simple example, this is what we get here. All right. That's why we need to get the deeper correction. But for me, from what I'm looking for continuation. If I get any opportunity for buy, I will take it. And what I'm looking for at this times, I need to see the breakout of any of this zone. Rather than that, we have nothing else to discuss. And how about if we move to daily chart? We have anything else to discuss? If I remove everything, nothing else. The only thing is we're looking for continuation, and we need to see the breakout of this top. Can we expect this one turn to a big expanding flat base on daily? Yes, we can expect that. All right, maybe similar to what we get here. For one more drop. That's why if we want to look for buy, we need to be quite careful. That's why if we move to forward chart, I mentioned we need to see the breakout of 445. Anyway, we just follow the chart. Still, we can look for continuation, but at this time, we don't see any trade setup, either for buy or sell. Mostly, we are looking for buy. And if you want to, again, if you want to look for buy, and following by a small flag or correction similar to any of this, we could look at, I mean, if you get any trade setup, we consider as a short term. What I mean by short term, as long as we get into the profit, we move our stop loss to break even. Anyway, we just follow the chart. If I see any update, if I see any information or update, I will share. Thanks.